Hello, my name is Jonathan Hemming, and I'm a staff customer success engineer here at Rubrik, and I wanted to do a quick getting started guide on using NFS archive locations with Rubrik CDM. I happen to be using Rubrik CDM 5.0 in this video. I've already logged in as an admin user, and I'm going to go ahead and go into the settings menu, which is the gear icon in the top right. I'll go ahead and select the archival locations. Since there's none configured, I'll go ahead and click the green plus button in the top right to add a new location. The first thing I need to do is set the archive location type. So click the drop down and select NFS. And I'll be presented with a series of options here to complete the configuration. I happen to be using a Linux NAS system that has an NFS export. By all means, use whichever system is listed as compatible and has sufficient space to perform the work. But I'll need the host name, so I'll go ahead and grab the host name for my archival location target. I'll set that in the host name field. I also need the export path here, so you can see that's MNT export. However, I'm going to use a subfolder, which is in the archive subfolder. So I'll set that in the export directory. I'm going to set a folder name. This is a folder that Rubrik CDM will create to make sure it can create a folder, but also it stores all of the archive location in that folder path. So I'm just going to call it my primary archive location to correspond with this primary site instance. The archive location name is a friendly name. This is what you will see in the SLA domain configuration. So I will update this to be NFS-primary. The encryption password is a password that is more used like randomization string. So make sure it's sufficiently cryptic, I guess is one way of putting it. Random is another way. But make sure to record this information somewhere safe, in that the password is required to reconnect to the archive location should this CDM instance ever disappear or be unrecoverable or destroyed in some unforeseen event. So enter in the password twice to make sure they match. Then make sure that password is saved. If you wish to use Kerberos authentication, which requires an authentication domain, you can set Kerberos. In this case, I don't have one configured, so I'll set it back to none. Then the option below for the file lock period is to enable worm type protection, so a write once, read many, and how many days you wish to have the files locked and not modified by Rubrik CDM. If I happen to set the file lock period, you'll notice that the archive consolidation feature is disabled because they conflict with one another. So I'll go ahead and remove that. I'll enable archive consolidation, which allows Rubrik CDM to download content from the archive location to manage snapshot data and then upload. This way it's being more efficient in the amount of storage used in the archive location. However, it does require download to the CDM instance, manipulation, and then re-upload. So there is some side effects to it that require some local scratch space, but other than that, we'll go ahead and we'll click Add. This will connect to the NFS archive location, make some basic configurations in the Rubrik CDM system. And if you do happen to look in that NFS folder, you will see that we now have a primary archive location. It has a few files in there. Do not touch or modify these files. They're used to ensure that Rubrik CDM is connected and that the encryption or the files in the archive location have not been modified. So please do not touch them or any of the files inside the archive location. This is managed by Rubrik CDM. Now that we have the archive location configured and connected, we need to update an SLA domain to be able to send snapshot data to it. So we'll go into SLA domains, into local domains. We'll select the SLA domain we want to send data from. We'll use the ellipses in the top right to edit the SLA domain. We'll scroll all the way to the bottom and click on the remote settings option. And now we can configure an archival location. So we'll enable archive. We'll select the archive location down to the NFS primary. I'm also going to set the enable instant archive, which means as soon as a snapshot completes, that's a new backup, that we will send this new backup immediately to the archive location so that it will be available both in archive as well as on the local system. Then the only thing left to do is determine how many days worth of snapshot data needs to be kept locally. So this is the amount retained on the local brick. So I'm going to drastically reduce that down to about 180 days. This means that the first 180 days of any system or file set protected by this SLA domain will be retained both on the local premises brick or CDM instance, as well as on the archive. Beyond 180 days, up to the total of 5 years, will only be stored in the NFS archive location. Once that has been configured to whatever value you wish to set, we'll go ahead and we'll click Update, and this will take effect immediately. If there are any snapshots that need to be uploaded, they'll be uploaded, and that is all for now.